Good morning, everyone. I'm Poppy Harlow in today for Carol Costello. Thanks so much for joining us this Friday. Those post-midterm pledges to work together and help the country move forward will be put to the test this afternoon as some 16 lawmakers and top congressional leaders head to the White House. Joining me now, Republican Congressman Peter King of New York. Thank you for being here, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Poppy.
So I think we're all glad to see that this meeting is happening so fast, and we're all happy to hear everyone saying that you guys are going to work together and get things done for the American people. I want to ask you about this. Speaker John Boehner said to the New York Times yesterday that President Obama shouldn't, quote, play with matches by unilaterally pushing immigration reform, because if he does, he's going to get burned. What's your reaction to that comment? And also, what is the worst case scenario, do you think, for the president if he does decide to go it alone on immigration?
Yeah, first of all, I think I'm convinced John Boehner wants to make this work with the president and with Mitch McConnell. But I fully agree with what John said as far as the president taking preemptive action on immigration. Because for John Boehner to work with the president to get meaningful legislation, he has to bring his party along. And on an issue like immigration, for the president to take preemptive executive action, that would be such a shot that it would make it very difficult for John Boehner to bring Republicans along on other issues. That would so poison the waters. So I agree with John on that completely. The president, to me, if he's serious, they should sit down, and I think we can make constructive progress on a number of issues, whether it's trade, whether even perhaps immigration. Yeah.
What's different this time? Because, you know, David Axelrod tweeted yesterday, President Obama's former advisor, that the president should at least have the House take it to a vote first. You see it right there. Immigration bill won a huge bipartisan majority in the Senate. POTUS should agree to shelve executive order for up or down vote in the House. But how can the American people know that the House is even going to bring this up for a vote? I mean, what has changed? What have you and your Republican colleagues talked about and with other Democrats that convince people that this has changed and there's going to be progress?
First of all, I think, first of all, conditions have changed. I don't believe we should bring up the bill that passed the Senate because conditions have changed since then. We saw what happened last summer with all those kids coming across the border. So I think while that basic framework of a bill is a good starting point, there do have to be changes made. I think it has to be toughened up. I think there has to be more security put in it. But that certainly can be used as a working document. But I don't think the president should say either you vote for the bill as it was or I'm going to take action. You know, there have been elections. Elections have consequences, as the president said several years ago. But I think that they can use the Senate bill as a working document to go from and go from there. But I don't see any obligation on Republicans in the House to vote for that bill, which was passed almost a year and a half ago. A lot has changed since then.
Talking about, I'm interested in your discussions with your Republican colleagues. I mean, obviously, you don't all just get along with each other and are on the same page because you're in the same party. You were really critical of Senator Ted Cruz, saying, you know, in some ways you thought he was trying to hijack the Republican Party. But what conversations have you had with the leadership that really makes you think things have changed?
Mainly, it's just my knowledge of John Boehner. John Boehner is a very traditional person. He believes in the institution. And now I think he believes, as Speaker of the House, with Republicans controlling both houses, there is a real obligation to try to make things work. At the same time, he has an obligation to the people who put us in the majority, who feel very strongly about these issues. And that the challenge is to get compromises that work where we can attain as much of our agenda as possible, and yet still allow the president or give the president some of his prerogatives. So really it's going to be almost a Ronald Reagan, Tip O'Neill situation.
And let me ask you one more thing, not focused on immigration, focused on jobs. Sure. The issue number one for America is still the economy. Still, people are really not feeling the improvements in the economy, and it is not broadly spread, many feel. When it comes to tax reform, business issues, job creation, tell me about what you think the chances are of getting the next session of Congress to move things forward on that front, because McConnell and Boehner talked about it in their op-ed in the Journal this week. Do you think it's going to happen and ultimately have a material impact on job creation?
Yeah, that's one area where it really could work. First, you have trade, then you have trade reform, you have tax reform. I think as far as corporate rates, as far as allowing repatriation of profits from overseas, bring them back, put them in the market, start ending and cutting back on some of the regulations which are stifling the economy. But obviously the president would want something too. And that, I think, is enough that can be put on the table there where both sides could come away with a victory.
I hope so. We'll be watching. Congressman Peter King of New York, thanks for joining me this morning.
Poppy, thank you.
Well, this morning there are some new details, a new